Hello, all of my crafty friends. I'm here today with another installment of May is for Mamas, and I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. Today, we are going to bring in a stamp set called Moms Meadows, and this is the stamp set that came in the Mother's Day kit for Simon Says Stamp this month. And so I decided to use this card to create a nice floral arrangement. So we're going to also be using some Gina K amalgam ink today to create this card. And I am going to go ahead and take my Gina K ink, and I have some Nina Classic Crest Solar White 80-pound cardstock that I'm going to be stamping on today because it is Copic safe. And so I will be doing some Copic coloring. Now I wanted to stamp out all the images that were not the large floral more than once, just so that I would have enough images for what I wanted to create on this card. So I brought in my Simon Says Stamp Grid Transparency, which is supposed to be used to help you line up sentiments, but it helps me when I haven't cleaned off my stamps. So I used that to place my other images where I wanted those to be. And then once I get those placed where I want them, then I am going to go ahead and stamp those out again. So I will not show you all of the coloring today because you guys know that I am a slow colorist. And so if I showed you all of the coloring, then we would probably be here for 2 days. So I am going to show you guys a little bit of coloring for each of my color combinations, and then I will go off camera and color in the rest and come back once I have those cut out. So here you can see I have stamped out all of those images for the second time, and I have a full page of different florals that I can use for my arrangement that I'm going to create. So I think that these are really nice. These are pretty simple images to color. So I'm going to show you guys all of the color combinations that I have chosen to use for this set. Now, I feel like I'm doing what we call color plucking because I just chose colors that kind of spoke to my eye at that moment, and I'm kind of putting them together and hoping that they all work out. And these are the different colors that I'll use for different areas of the flowers. And like I said, I will show you guys one thing in each color combination so you guys will have an idea of how I colored everything. So we're going to go ahead and switch to the alternate view so that you guys can have a better look at what it is that I'm coloring. Again, I really would like for you guys to let me know how you're liking this new setup, and if this is beneficial for me to color in this manner, if it shows you guys a little bit better. Because that's ultimately why I created this angle. I wanted you guys to be able to see what it was that I was doing. And so what I've done is I started out with my lightest color to saturate my paper. Then I went in with my darkest, mid-tone, and now I'm going to come back in with my lighter color. And that is the red combination that I will use for the berries. And I think I use this for some of the centers as well. And then we're going to bring in this red and red-violet color combination that I'm going to use for my larger flowers. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to map out my darkest areas with my lightest color first. And then once I get that done, I am going to come straight in with my darkest color and begin coloring in. I jumped in with my darkest color in this instance just because these florals are pretty simple. They're pretty straightforward. I didn't feel like there was a ton of room for me to make errors. I mean, there's always room for error, but I felt pretty okay with knowing where I wanted to place everything, so I was able to go straight in with the darkest color. And I did go in and color each of these areas twice so that I could get a very good and pretty seamless blend. I like to have some striations when I'm doing florals, but I also want to make sure that it blends nicely together. And I was initially kind of concerned with this color combination. I didn't quite know whether it was going to work the way that I wanted it to, but in the end, I felt like it came out very nicely. I was very well pleased with what I ended up with, so I'm glad that I just threw caution to the wind and went with it again. So here you can see that I have gone in for the second time with my colors. Like I said, normally I find that the first round really helps to saturate the paper, and that second round really helps to give me my vibrant colors and helps to get all of my colors blended just the way that I want them to be. Sometimes I don't have to do all of the colors. I just do one or two or three of the colors, because most of the time I am using a 4-color blend. This time I am using more 3-color blends because I'm using so many different colors. So now we're going to come in with our yellow combination. And again, I'm following the exact same regime. I am going in and doing the bases of the flowers where any two flowers intersect and where one petal overlaps another. Those are where I am putting in those shadow colors or my very darkest colors, and then I am just simply blending out from those areas to create my variation in colors. Now, I don't particularly work on light sources right now because, truth be told, that is kind of I don't know, I just don't quite grasp it yet. I kind of get it, I'm getting there, and I probably just need to work on it a little bit more. So now I'm going to bring in one of my green combinations. Now this combination is a 4-color blend, but this is, I believe, the only 4-color blend that I am using in this entire card. So I'm going to go in again, just like we said with all the other ones, and I'm going to start with my lightest color to map out my darkest area. Then I'm going to go in with my darkest color and I'm going to start blending out from darkest, mid-tone, medium, and my lightest color. When I'm doing my florals, I typically have to think about where I want my shadows to be and how I want my flower to appear to be, my leaf to appear to be falling. And so that's something that I'm still working on. So, I think that doing this series where I'm working on florals and doing things for those moms or females in your life who mean a lot to you has helped me to work on some of my floral coloring, and I really enjoyed it. I like coloring flowers anyways, but it's given me some time to really focus on this. So now we're going to bring in our last green combination, and this is a lighter green combination. I used some YG colors to do this combination, and this combination I wanted to make it seem as if the center was bowed up more, so I have it with the center being the lightest and having my darkest color at both ends. That is how I am attempting to achieve that look. So as you can see, I went in and placed my darkest color at both ends, and I'm bringing those colors in toward the center to kind of try to show that arching look of the leaf. I always find it so amazing how where you place color can drive how the image looks to the eye. And then how perspective also works when you are looking at it from one perspective and then another perspective. So please let me know what you guys think. So now we have pretty much used all of our, I think this was all of our color combinations that I have picked out for us today. And so I've gone and I've colored all of the images, and I've used my brother's scan and cut to cut out everything, and we are ready to kind of get started. So we came out with a lot of images, so I have a lot that I can work with. I am going to bring in some of my very favorites, some alcohol inks. And I was trying to match up some of the colors that we were using. So I have Wild Plum, I have Crimson, and I have, I think this is Honeycomb. Yeah, that's Honeycomb. And I'm going to bring in one of the alloys in the color Mine. I'm going to bring some alcohol blending solution in, and I'm going to bring in that little squeeze bottle or air pumper, or you know what I'm talking about, the new thing from Tim Holtz, in order to be able to spread some of that color around. I'm going to bring in a piece of Yupo paper. I cut this to be a little bit larger so I'd have some area to work with. I'm going to first saturate that with the alcohol blending solution, and I'm just going to start dropping in color. I'm going to drop in the color, I'm going to let it move a little by itself, then I'm going to start spraying it or squeezing the air pumper thingy. I need to find the real name of that. I'll have it linked below, of course. And then I'm going to start moving the colors around together. And initially, I wanted to be cautious because I didn't know how those colors were going to play together. But once I figured out they were being nice to each other, I just had a ton of fun just playing around and putting the colors down. Now, once I dropped in the alloy, I then went back in with the alcohol blending solution and dropped a dollop actually on each of those places where the alloy was sitting, because that helps to break up the color and helps it to move more freely. So I am going to continue to add colors until I achieve the look that I'm going for. And now you can see I'm starting to blend those colors in together and allow them to play a little bit more, putting some of that red in with the yellow, putting some of that plum in with the red, and kind of just allowing it to mix and mingle with each other, and using the spritzer. That's what it was called. It's called an air spritzer. And I'm going to use the air spritzer to move some of that around, adding in more of the blending solution as I go along. You could also use some 91% isopropyl alcohol. However, alcohol is a hot commodity right now, so I didn't want to use that. I just figured I'd use the alcohol blending solution, but it gives a variation when you do decide to use that, and when you use it with the little mister bottle. So once alcohol is not such a hot commodity anymore, I will make sure that I do some more playing with those alcohol inks to show you guys some of the different techniques that we can do with those. So here we go. I'm just going to add in just a little bit more, and I finally got the panel kind of to where I wanted it to be, and we are going to sit that aside to dry. And then we are going to start working on the remainder of our card. So I have had the Cricut to cut out the word "you" for me 5 times, 4 times out of regular cardstock and 1 time out of some true brushed cardstock. I also had it write "I will always love" on a piece of vellum in silver, and I brought out some cotton paper from Nuvo. Now I am going to use some of that cardstock that I cut out of to create my panel for the inside, and I have my 5x7 card base. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue all of our U's together. And I am using a fine tip applicator bottle that I got from Amazon, and the glue that is inside of this is my art glitter glue that I purchased from maymaymadeit.com. So I will have that link below, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to glue all those together, and then my very last layer will be that True Brush cardstock from Cricut, which is one of my absolute favorites. It has such a nice shine, and it has beautiful texture to go with it as well. So now that I have that done, I'm going to sit that off to the side and get that some time to dry. I'm going to glue my inside card piece onto the matte panel, and I'm trying to be more mindful of utilizing some of these pieces instead of throwing them away, because they work very well for a mat and no one ever sees the things that are cut out of the center of them. So I'm just kind of aware of where I'm cutting when I'm using my Cricut mat to cut things. So now I have gone ahead and scored my card base, and I'm going to just temporarily sit my cotton paper there, and I'm going to make a diagonal across the card base with my florals. So I'm going to take the florals and I'm going to just kind of start to fiddle with them to get them where I want them to be, to get the arrangement to look the way that I want it to look. Once I have got all the flowers and all the greenery kind of where I want it to be, I am going to then use some press and seal to pick that up so that I can keep it together for when I am ready to glue all of those pieces down. So I'm just sitting here. It takes me a while sometimes when I'm trying to get placement of flowers, and this is something that I've challenged myself with this month with this series, is kind of getting things placed in floral clusters, because I don't feel like I am very good at it, but of course I know I have to practice to get better. So now I'm just kind of laying out to see how I'm going to want that to look. And so I am also going to bring back in my inside panel, and I did cut a small strip of the cotton paper to go across the bottom, and I'm going to do another little floral sprig at the bottom of the card base, just to kind of decorate the inside of the card. You guys know that I love to have the inside of my cards decorated as well as the outside. So I'm just taking those remaining images that we have, and I'm creating a smaller cluster to have those images glued down there. Now I will glue down all of those images flat, and then once I am done, I will trim off any of the excess that is overhanging with the greenery that I've placed on it. So now that we've got all that done, we will use our scissors to trim and snip that off. I don't know why it's kind of hard for me. I still feel some type of way when I'm having to trim off those pieces. I know that it kind of makes things look continuous, but it's hard for me. So here's where I bring in that press and seal to pick up my pieces for my floral, just to sit that to the side in order to ensure that it is able to stay where I want it to be. So now I've glued that cotton paper onto another piece of cardstock just to make it sturdy. Our alcohol ink panel has dried, and I have cut that into a diagonal. So I am going to create a diagonal card with half of the cotton paper and the other half being the alcohol ink background. And so I've glued that down, and I am really enjoying how that is looking. Just kind of getting that lined up, and now I'm going to take some more of my art glitter glue, and I am going to glue the areas down that will touch the paper first, and then I'm going to get that placed where I want it to be, right along the center seam of that card. Once I get that done, then I am going to remove that press and seal, and then I'll have the time to glue down the remaining pieces of the flowers that were sitting on top and didn't get glued down with the press and seal. So I'm going to take my U and I'm going to glue that down, and I'm going to sit my phone on top and allow that to dry. Then I'm going to pop that vellum piece up on foam tape. Now I did leave a gap where the wheel is, just so that it would pop up over the U, the tail of the Y in U. And once I have that done, I am going to take some iridescent bubbles, and I believe that these are from Studio Katia, and I'm going to place them sporadically over my card, because you know I love to have my bling on my card, right? Yes, Kiana, you love having your bling on your card. Yes, you guys know me so well. So I'm going to go ahead and scatter those around, and I just wanted something that was kind of subtle but would also kind of pick up the colors that are in the card, but I didn't want anything that added too much more to the card. Like, I thought that this card really did have a good amount going on. And of course, you know, we've got to bring in our Spectrum Noir Sparkle pen because it is my favorite. And I'm going to sparkle up everything on the outside and the inside portion of this card. So once I get all of my sparkle on, get everything all sparkly, we are going to bring in our card base. I'm going to glue the inside piece into the card first. And like I said, this is why I'm okay with using these scrap pieces, because this is going to glue inside the card, which is a Recollections 100-pound cardstock. That is what I use for my card base most times. And you will never be the wiser. You would think that that was a full sheet of paper. Now, I don't really like cutting out the entire center of the cardstock, but I think that if you have a piece that you've used for something, that is okay to use it to be a mat on your card base. So now I am going to glue that other piece down, and I am going to glue it to the front portion of our card. So here we go. This is what we have. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I thought that this was a pretty cool technique. I really enjoyed creating this card, and I think that it will be amazing for whoever the recipient is. I hope that this is giving you some inspiration, and if you're liking what you see, please like, subscribe, please leave me a comment, and click the bell icon so that you'll be notified of more videos to come. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.